Tomorrow is the 27th of August. 16 years ago tomorrow, the promulgation of Kenya's constitution took place, and it gave birth to certain things that we see happening in the country today. Devolution, a big one. And that meant that at the regional levels, which would now be broken down into 47 counties, that there was a county assembly that then saw towards the governance of these regions. What it was meant to do was foster development and to ensure that the decentralization of power and resources took place in Kenya. 16 years down the line, it's one of the tenets of the constitution that we're looking at in terms of how that has actually been implemented. And then we're going to go into that conversation and see what are some of the things that have been done as a result of that makes the case for devolution as a tenet of the constitution, or, as many people have said, hidden or otherwise, against the devolution aspect of the constitution. Now, to foster that conversation with us this morning, Peninah Mukabane is a CEC Kakamega County CEC. She'll tell us what she's in charge of, and of course some of these things that we talk about necessary for us to have this conversation this morning. Peninah, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Welcome to Nairobi.
Yeah.
You know, before usually you would not. Before that, it was just wherever. Yeah. But now we know that there's work that's taking place in different parts of the country because of the fact that devolution happened through the constitution.
Yes.
So we'll get into that conversation a little bit. But before we do that, Dennis is going to welcome you. He's now, we say welcome to Nairobi, say welcome to Kenya. He's been to a different African country every week. He's come back from a particular one this week, and he'll tell you what the proverb is so that you can interpret for us.
So today we are in Morocco, a beautiful country, especially when you look at the tourism and you look at their culture, their cuisine, and also just some of the architecture that they do have. They have one of the most beautiful mosques next to the sea, and that forever remains to be one of the things that stand out, especially in that side of the world. But the proverb we get from Morocco: when your vision is enormous, small setbacks become lessons rather than endings. When your vision is enormous, small setbacks become lessons rather than endings. How would you interpret it?
That can be interpreted to mean that we take challenges to be opportunities and capitalize on them.
Well interpreted.
Yeah.
Well said.
Indeed. Yeah. Well said. Okay, Peninah, 16 years of a new constitution, but more pointedly, 13 years now actually of devolution, because we saw that devolution became a thing around 2013 is when we really saw that started to be entrenched around the country. People moved, development started, the centers of power then were diffused through the nation. And then we started to see things happening. Give us an overview of how you see, as a CEC, as a member of the county assembly, because now you're right in the middle of it. How have you seen it progress so far?
Yeah, thank you very much. Peninah Mukabane, as you said, a member of the county executive in Kakamega County, in charge of water, environment, natural resources, and climate change. And I'm glad to be part of this conversation because I've been a CEC since 2013 when devolution started. So I've been able to walk this journey with my bosses, and I am glad that devolution happened because it's working. Devolution, it's not just a question of whether it's working or not, but devolution is actually water on the taps of a rural family. It's actually a tarmac road in a village since independence. That in Western Kenya, we would not have been able to see that at all. So if I'll take the case for Kakamega County, because I've walked this journey up to date. And to me, if devolution wasn't there, then Kakamega will not be where it is now. In Matungu, for instance, the residents have been able to see the first tarmac road since independence.
Done by the county?
Yeah, done by the county government, not just the national government, Kera or Kenha. People in Quisero were able to see the first tarmac road since independence. The water question. I will talk about water because I'm the CC in charge of water. It was a reserve of the urban elites before devolution. So it's only people in towns who could access piped water. But for now, in Kakamega County, we are taking water to the villages. The governor's clarion call of Amati Humliango, meaning water at the doorstep, is actually working.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need you to repeat what is that?
Amati Humliango.
Okay.
Water at the doorstep.
Yes.
We have somebody who can help us practice
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
So are you saying that these things would not have happened if not for devolution?
Yeah, if you look at the sessional paper number 10 of 1965, that was meant to marginalize some areas. And for sure, the Western region as a whole, it was greatly marginalized when the system of governance was still centralized in Nairobi. We only had a few tarmac roads, the main highways, and in the interior you will not see any tarmac. You will not find any piped water in the villages. You will not see electricity. So since the county government came in, they have partnered with the parastatals in charge of these services. And we've been able to witness even electrification. And that has brought up even cottage industries within the county. In Kakamega, for instance, we now have an industry in Likuyani and another industrial park set up by the county government in Matawa, Mumias West. And in all these industrial parks, we've been able to put water, electricity, and do the roads. So that means even the people in the surrounding areas are able to identify with devolution and say that actually it is working.
I mean, when you talk about marginalization that has existed before, especially using that social paper that you've mentioned, you look at the previous provincial administration and how that worked. Am I hearing you say that because of devolution, first of all, did counties find themselves then playing catch up with other regions that had not been marginalized, and that devolution made that journey easier and faster?
Yes, devolution made the journey easier and faster because initially the planning was centralized. All the documentation was centralized, and so development tended to go to areas where the president is coming from. So at first we had the first president coming from central Kenya, and you'll find that most parts of central Kenya are actually highly developed in terms of road network, electricity, and all that. Then you find that western region, because we had never produced a president, even now we've not produced a president yet, but we are able to realize devolution from the devolved. We are able to realize development through the devolved system of governance, and this has come about because we are able to plan. We are able to do public participation with our communities, which was never there before. When you do a budget, you involve the people in the public participation process. They tell you what they want, what are their priorities. Then you are able to put it in the county integrated development plan. You are able to prioritize it in the annual development plan and therefore budget for it and implement.
Yet, when you talk about marginalization, Kenyans today would say 16 years later, we shouldn't be talking about marginalization because you look at resources that have been then availed to the counties, close to 4-point-something trillion shillings that have gone to the counties. And many say that the monies that have been sent to the counties is nothing other than devolved corruption that we continue to see. How true is that? And as well speak to the fact that we also have devolution, as it were. But funds, resources do not follow functions.
We can't rule out corruption. Because it's found everywhere. It was there in the national government. Some of these people working in the national government are actually the same ones working for the county governments. I was saying marginalization because at that time, the planning unit was not the county. The planning was centralized in Nairobi. But now counties are given money, they're able to plan, and they're able to prioritize and implement. So the marginalization I talked about was before devolution. But now with the devolution, we can't talk of being marginalized because people are also given money based on the population and also the area of coverage. And therefore, Kakamega is one of the biggest counties in terms of area and also in terms of population. It's actually the biggest rural county and the most populated rural county.
So walk us through how this happens, because you mentioned that, you'll see devolution depending on who sits at the top. And that was how it was before devolution made its entrance into the scene. But then devolution comes along, and then now you have county governments, you have county executive committee members, you have members of the county assembly, you have all of these people who are working for the development of a particular region. So how does it work? And we also know that because of the revenue allocation, that there's a certain amount of money that comes to the county. So under your docket, you want to see, because there are many, there are roads, there's infrastructure, there's water, there's medical services, all of these things. So you want to bring water into where? Matungu.
Matungu is where the governor comes from.
Let's go to Matungu. What happens? How does it work? Because now if you say, if Peninah says, I brought water to Matungu, how exactly did this happen?
So let me walk you through how it works. At the county level, we have the county assembly and the county executive. The county executive is headed by the governor, His Excellency the governor. The county assembly is headed by the speaker of the county assembly. But the two must work in closer collaboration and consultation for development to work. Because for us, we'll give them our budget proposals based on what came out from the public participation on the ground. Then it's the county assembly to approve that budget. But also, we don't just budget anyhowly. We budget based on the resource envelope that we have. For instance, at Kakamega County, we are required to raise 2 billion from our own source revenue, and we get 15 billion from the exchequer. And then the governor, based on his priorities, his manifesto, and the annual development plan, he's able to cap, to tell us now, this is your ceiling. For you, the CEC in water, your ceiling will be 800 million development. Roads, we are going to give you 1.5 billion development. Health, and so on, based on the priorities. And you realize most of the priorities are usually towards health, roads, and water. I mean, health, roads, and education. Water comes in third or fourth. And then the others, of course, lands and the other sectors. So once the county assembly approves the budget, we start the implementation. But it's a long journey. Before we arrive at the budget and approval of the budget, we have public participation forums in every constituency, and people are drawn from each ward. So the level of devolution does not just end at the county, it goes up to the ward, because the MCAs also know their priorities in the various wards. And for the case of Kakamega County, we even have ward-based projects in every ward. For instance, there is ward-based water projects, there's ward-based education where we do ECDs in every ward, there's ward-based in roads. So every ward also is allocated a budget for roads, a budget for water, a budget for education. So that is how far devolution has been able to go up to the lowest unit in the county, and which is the ward. Kakamega has got 60 wards, and we are able to do projects in all the 60 wards.
I mean, there has to be proper collaboration between national and county governments for devolution to really thrive, right?
Yes.
And here I want to look at your docket for water, because many would look at it in terms of, fine, I got water in my home. Yeah, we look like a city or a town. That is good. But if you go back to look at what that does, because when you talk about preventative medicine, water is a key subject, because then waterborne diseases and many other facets, sanitation is key, right? So that means the water docket must work with the health department for that to be a success. But you look at the overall general agreement that water is not only number one priority, but perhaps if we fix that, then the stress level in the health sector, which is also devolved, then is also addressed. Are we having this conversation from that level, or is CEC water, CEC health, CEC health? Yet one thing that brings you guys together is not being discussed.
And that is why we have a cabinet, and in that cabinet at the county level, we have the CEC water, the CEC health. And then, of course, we have interdepartmental meetings where the county secretary chairs, and we are able to discuss and agree on priorities as a team, but not just as one person. And for Kakamega, the governor is justified to put health ahead because, as I told you, the historical injustices. Kakamega County did not have even a referral hospital, but now it has been set up. Now, as the governor fights to make sure there is water available to prevent waterborne diseases, he must also balance the act to ensure that there is a newborn unit in Malava Sub-County Hospital where the premature babies can be they can be rescued. So as much as he would want to focus on water to prevent the waterborne diseases and other diseases, then he must also ensure that the current health system is properly functioning.
Is there a mix, or is it avoidable for politics to enter into this? Because decisions made as to where a project will happen based on a political affiliation, or is it because this needs to happen and we're doing our job? We must admit that those two are not necessarily, separate from one another.
You see, for us, for me as a county executive, a decision must be made based on where the need is the most. And usually, of course, research is done to ensure this particular sub-county is water stressed. Like for us, the northern region, Likuyani, Lugari, and parts of Malava, the access to clean potable water was a bit lower compared to the other regions, the central and the southern. But we cannot rule out politics, of course. But for me as a county executive, who is the head of the department and the policy maker, I have to consider that. But in case something comes up because of the political affiliation, maybe there is a particular school where the management and the school really supported my boss in the election process, I cannot shy away from ensuring that they are given water. But overall, in the planning documents, we consider where the need is most.
So there's equally been a concern out here when it comes to, let's talk about engagement between national and county governments. Why do I go there? Because when you talk about division of revenue that goes to the counties, it has been a concern, especially when it comes to delayed disbursement of these funds to the counties, where then you find suppliers are not paid in time, the healthcare workers or staff at the counties are not paid in time. So how does that factor then reduce or delay achievements that devolution, say Kakamega County, would be able to do if monies were disbursed on time?
Yeah, of course it affects the development process. When you delay to disburse funds, it means we will not be able to pay some contractors, will not be able to pay some suppliers on time. And therefore, some of them, because now we are told to empower the youth and the women. So some of the people we give these contracts are people who are relying on partial payment for them to complete. So when you delay the exchequer release, it means you are also delaying the development process, because some of them have to be paid before they proceed and eventually complete. So it's a problem that all counties are facing, not just Kakamega. For instance, for the previous 2 years, you find the disbursement for June comes when the financial year is already closed. So that means you have pending bills. And when you have pending bills now, it affects development of the successive year. Because when budgeting again, you have to budget for that pending bill before you budget for any new project.
Okay. So does it matter who or the character of the person at the top is? If we're saying that devolution as a process is working on its own, that it does, anybody who then comes in to these offices, because CECs are at the I want to say almost discretion of the governor who is appointed as a CEC, isn't it?
Yeah, the governor appoints the CEC.
Yes. So does it matter who the person is at the top who does these appointments for us to see work actually being done?
It matters, yes, but now the impact is not as big as it would have been if it's at the national level, because the governor comes from that county. He will want to be re-elected. Therefore, he'll ensure equitable distribution of development. Though it might affect to some extent, but I don't think the impact will be big. The marginalization will not be so much visible as it would have been at the national level. And that's why I'm saying devolution is working. And why is it working? For Kakamega alone, when Governor Baraza came in, the access to clean and safe water was at 62%. Okay. And when we made the clarion call of water at the doorstep, his clarion call, he brought partners on board. And he has been able to move access from 62% to 74%. And this translates to 30,000 new connections, new households, 30,000 new households connected. And in Kakamega, one household has an average of 7 to 10 people.
When we say connected, there's a difference between connected and I put on the tap and water comes out of it.
Yes. When you put on a tap and water comes out of it, those are new 30,000 new households connected. Okay. They are connected and water is coming from the tap. That's what I mean. And these households have about 10 members. So 10 members times 30,000, that translates to 300,000 new people who are receiving water, who are not receiving water before. So you can see this is a big impact, because these are people, majority of whom are in rural areas. Others had been disconnected because of roadworks or vandalism. But now we've brought them back to the water supply.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a paid for service.
Yes,
so these 300,000 people, or these 30 families?
30,000
families.
Yes.
But they're paying for the water supply.
Yeah.
And this money.
Yeah.
One of the big issues or roadblocks towards seeing the benefits of devolution has been accountability when it comes to the spend of resources. Can you draw a line between the projects where money is sunk into and the rewards that you reap? We can go across board from CES to OSR to connections that that you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Because if the picture that you paint is the way it is, then when Treasury decides that they're going to do the thing, then you should actually have a rolling source of revenue in the county, and that doesn't always seem to be the case.
Yeah, I'm happy to tell you about the water sector. The county government does not engage into service provision. Instead, we have created 2 water service providers, 2 water companies, whereby we have the urban water company, whose tariff is a bit higher because of also the amount that goes into delivering that water at the doorstep. Then we have the rural water company, whereby we know for us to compel people to connect, the tariff should be lower. Otherwise, they will go back to the unsafe water of maybe a spring or a borehole that's not treated. So for us, this is a revolving fund, because when the water company connects you to water, clean potable water, you'll pay a connection fee. Then there is a tariff that's approved by WASREB. Now that water goes to that money goes to the water company, and they use it to create more new connections and more last mile connectivity. That's for water. But for general on-source revenue, as you asked, for general on-source revenue, what happens is that it goes to the county revenue fund, and it's part of the total budget that is approved. As I told you, 15 billion will come from national government. 2 billion is our own source revenue, what we collect from source, from mining, from all others, so single business permit. It goes back to the county revenue source, and it is what is used to carry out the other development budget, like roads, like construction of ECDs, constructing markets, constructing border sheds. Those are things we never used to see before devolution, and now we have them.
But even while then there are good strategies that have been put in place, we are moving forward. We'll take a break, then we come back.
Let's take a break and come back, and then we can talk about the moving forward necessary for us to look into. We're looking at how devolution has played out. We think it's interesting for us to then be able to look around the country and see really what has happened forward, because as we come to 16 years of the promulgation of the Constitution and 13 years of devolution, what have we actually seen happening? And if there's a case to be made for it, we're looking around the country. We started off in Kakamega today, and let's see how that's actually playing out.
All of us to move forward, especially when you talk about devolution. Why? Because if we are seeing development that is happening, new development that is coming in place, Kakamega never had a referral hospital, now it does. But while that is important, other health facilities that were there must equally work to par to be able to feed into the referral hospital, yet that we know is a national resource. But then again, there is equally water, new connections, but are old connections working? Do we have water in those? So it is a conversation that we have to move forward with everybody in place. So what are some of the stopgap measures that we've put in place to ensure that we do not repeat things that we've already done, because that would be wastage?
Thank you very much. For Kakamega, we saw stalled projects or projects that have been decommissioned as an opportunity. So we targeted those ones first. Even in our budget, even when we did public participation, that is what Wananchi said. I'll give an example of two major projects. There is Savannah Water Project, which had been decommissioned 20 years ago, because at that time, the water company at that time was relying on electricity. And therefore, the cost of putting water to the clients was very high. So they saw they were making losses. Now, the county government went in through the Financing Locally Led Climate Action, FLOCA. Through FLOCA, the county government, under the leadership of Governor Baraza, identified that project, and we've been able to sink in 150 million to repair the intake, to repair the treatment plant, and to use now to set up solar panels so that it's pumped using both solar and electricity to make it hybrid. And that is bearing fruits, because we are bringing on board another 6,000 cubic meters injected into Kakamega town every day because of the renovation of Savannah water supply. And that is a major plus for us, because we saw a stalled project and a decommissioned project as an opportunity. It was a low-hanging fruit for us. Another one is Shitoli. Shitoli is being done both by county government and national government. National government, it had the same problem like Savannah, but this one is supposed to serve Ikolomani and Shinyalu sub-counties, whereby it's serving Isuka South and Isuka West in Shinyalu, and is serving part of Idaho East and Idaho Central for Ikolomani. Now, this Shitoli water project is going to bring on board another 28,000 customers, because it had been decommissioned 15 years ago, again because of very high electricity bills. So national government is doing solarization, repairing the treatment plant, while the county government is doing last mile connectivity. So that's a collaboration that's going to bring back 28,000 users who had been removed from the grid. So for me, for us in Kakamega, we've seen it as a plus. The stalled projects are a low-hanging fruit for us, and especially the program implementation unit in Nairobi find it a plus for us. And Kakamega earned #1 position when it comes to implementation of FLOCA programs, just because of high impact and low disturbance level projects.
Okay, so when the budgets come, because every county does the CIDPs.
Yes.
Right? I think it's every 5 years.
CIDP is supposed to last 5 years, but it can be reviewed midway.
Midway. So are the CIDPs followed to the letter? Or if there's an emergency that would come in, how does that actually work? Because we see that the projects for which a CIDP is followed across the country actually are the ones that succeed.
For Kakamega, we've been led by planners and accountants. I don't know, Kakamega people know the best governor to choose when it comes to that, because the first governor was a planner. The second governor is also an accountant. He's actually a fellow accountant. So they take our planning documents very seriously. For Kakamega, we follow the CIDP to the letter. Sometimes we may not implement every project under the CIDP because of resources, the shortage of resources. But whenever we fail to implement, we reschedule it in the next. So for us, we've been able to follow the CIDP. If you look at the projects we're implementing, they have also been prioritized in both the CIDP and the annual development plan. But I cannot refute the fact that sometimes the governor goes to a place and he finds something is required, it's an emergency, so he issues an executive order. In such a case, now we work on the supplementary budget to be able to accommodate that kind of project.
How good is the collaboration between national and county government? Because if you look at the overall picture, then would be that the country moves forward as a whole, right? And that has to happen through collaboration. Like you said about that water project where national and county governments are working together to serve the people. That is a plus, you know. And we also have to look at how then counties are plugging into the overall vision. So here we are, Vision 2030. How are counties, say Kakamega County, then plugging itself to that Vision 2030 because it is the national vision that takes Kenya forward? I'm happy to tell you that we are among the counties that work very well with national government. So far, the national government has implemented water projects worth more than 3 billion. There is a Malava cluster water project where the national government has sunk in 2.5 billion to do a project in Namagara, a project in Malava town, and a project that where they are doing last mile connectivity up to a ward in a place in Kabras East. It's called Manguliro. And the county government has plugged in again by doing last mile connections to people. So for us, when it comes to Vision 2030 and Sustainable Development Goal number 6, the county government of Kakamega has done very well. Over the 5 years that Governor Baraza is in office, he is going to put in 1.8 billion. On average, we do projects worth more than 500 million per year. Then we have partners plugging in. The national government through Lake Victoria North Waterworks Development Agency are implementing mega projects. And then we have other partners. We had USAID, which was doing very well, USAID Western Kenya Water Project, and unfortunately they left. But they had helped us quite a bit on governance structures of the water companies, which enabled them to perform very well compared to other counties. By the way, our water service provider in 2025 was among the best 6 in the Lake region. It was actually the first one in the Lake region and then the best 6 nationwide. So we are able to do this because we've worked on the governance structures as well of our water service providers through the support from partners like Western Kenya Water Project, which was under USAID, also supported by Western Water Project, which is an NGO that is funded to work in 3 constituencies. They've done more than 100 boreholes, more than 200 springs, so that those who cannot get water at the doorstep, at least there's a community place they can be served. And then as a county government, we have, for every project we do, we have at least a minimum of 3 water kiosks, whereby the poor, those who cannot get individual connections can go and get water. An example, we have a water kiosk at Kamkon, Mumias town. We have a water kiosk at Etenje. And all over the market areas, we have water kiosks. So that if you cannot get the individual connection, at least there is a communal point where you can get water.
I, as you speak, I find myself wanting to ask, so what's wrong? What's where is the problem? Because you're telling us about all these wonderful things that are happening. People have water. I don't know, in the last few months, hundreds of thousands of people now have access to clean water. There's a water kiosk. So essentially the people of Kakamega County in general will not have an issue with water. If this is the case with the CEC water, one can assume that this might be the case with the CEC Health,
Treasury,
with the CEC Treasury, with the CEC Education. What are you people drinking in Kakamega?
Okay, I can't say it's all rosy for everyone because there is a 26% we have not reached. But that is why we exist. because it's progressive. We'll achieve universal access to clean and safe water with time, but not immediately, because it's progressive. So the 26% that are remaining, we are putting in place measures to ensure at least we get a service line and a source in those areas. And as I told you, most of these 26% are within the northern region. And that's why the national government has come in strongly with the Matunda water supply in Likuyani, with the Malava cluster water supply in Malava. It's supposed to go up to Navaholo. It's supposed to go up to most parts of Malava, and slightly Shinyalu, and a few areas of Lurambi. So as we talk about having moved a step from 62% to 74%, we have 26% who are remaining. The other a part of the 26% are due to a big challenge that I'm facing as a CEC, and which Kakamega is facing in general, and I'm sure it could be across other counties. We have a problem of vandalism. And then most pipes are destroyed through roadworks. So what we have done for the challenge of roadworks developed, because they cut off our clients, we have formed an interministerial committee that includes even national government agencies like KERA, Kura, our Department of Roads, the water companies, and then this is chaired by the county secretary. So we've agreed with them, before you undertake road works, let us have a meeting, let us have some environmental impact assessment, so that we know which areas will be affected with water. And then we can include that in the BQ of the contractor who is doing the road, so that after he's done the road, he can either do the water or give us money to redo the water pipes and the water connectivity. For the vandalism by the communities, what we've done as a county government, we have made most of the schemes we've developed through the ward-based, we give them to the communities for ownership, so that these communities, we have water schemes that are managed by community committees. So these committees will look after their resource, so that whoever vandalizes, they will report. And then, of course, we have communal points, the water kiosks I told you. The Wananchi they guard their resource very well. And then we have been provided by the water police who are stationed at Lake Victoria. Whenever we have a challenge and we found someone red-handed, they help us apprehend the victims.
I mean, you look at the counties, and I want us to look at the regional blocks that we have, because Kakamega is part of LREB, Lake Region Economic Block.
Yes. Yeah.
And with that, then it is shared vision between these counties on what they ought to achieve, right?
Yeah.
And with that, then one asks the question, what has been the deliverables? How have we performed in these regional blocks? Or do they just exist as flowers for people to see, but nothing much on ground? So in terms of water, then, how is perhaps the next county, Kisumu County, feeding into water into Kakamega County? And are you having those conversations on those borders, that since we are in this economic block, we are able to see how we can work together?
Yeah, also for water is a cross-boundary, it's a cross-cutting issue. In terms of LREB, the conversation we have as counties is to protect the catchments, because you'll find Nandi, like for the water that's coming from the water consumed in Kakamega town is coming from Nandi. And so Nandi County is able to give us someone to sit on the board of our water company. And also our water company is able to connect people within Nandi at the source. So we even have, in Kakamega water, we have clients who are in Nandi County. And part of this water that is in Kakamega also goes up to Busia. So we have clients connected in Busia, but the water is coming from Kakamega. So that's where also we have bulk water meters. Yeah. So and also apart from the water conversation, there is the issue of catchment protection and also agriculture. So we have common partners when it comes to water and agriculture. Like we have FAO that's working in the Lake region. So all the counties in the Lake region are working on this. It's a program called Tunza. And then we have another project by IFAD as well on this issue. And all of them, they do not just touch on agriculture. We also look at conserving our water catchment. For Kakamega, we have the forest. They are doing something about the forest. For Kisumu, we have the lake. They are doing something about protecting the lake and also looking at water treatment and all that. So for the Lake Region Economic Bloc, it's not just a flower. It is working. It is working. And I think water is one of the sectors where it's working very well for all of us. And we have one water service development agency. You know, we have those blocks formed by national government. So for the LREB, we have Lake Victoria North and Lake Victoria South, which is serving all of us. And sometimes we come together to have conversations on how to improve water service delivery. Yeah.
You mentioned about the sufficiency of resources.
Yeah.
So even with this that has been done, because oftentimes we have these conversations and we say, okay, well, that's nice. You're asking for more, but what have you done with what you have received so far? Okay, so you're letting us know that even with this that has happened, there is not enough to go round, right?
Yeah.
Is the resource question one that comes up as you say, we've done this, but people still need more? How do we go about that? And how does that connect to OSR when it comes to the responsibility that lays on the shoulders of counties beyond CES? I mean, everybody says, well, OSR is CES. It's come on. It's how much are you going to collect from CES to have some significant OSR percentage? So how can you say, what would be the thing to say? Can you actually have viable projects towards sustainability that would ramp up your OSR percentage? Own source revenue. Sorry, I'm using acronyms. Own source revenue.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for us, we know that as counties, we also know that we will not keep on relying on the central government forever. And therefore, we must revamp and we must be innovative to come up with many other ways of raising funds. Now, for instance, in the water sector, I've told you what we've been able to achieve, but we have a challenge when it comes to sewerage and sanitation, because the infrastructure to help us put up sewerage is quite massive and it requires a lot of funding. And then when you go to Wananchi, it's not a priority. If you look at even the current sewerage plants, they were put there by partners, either the German Development Bank or World Bank. As a county, with the kind of resources we get and the competing needs, we are not able to invest massively in sewerage, given that even Wananchi, when they are coming up with their needs, they do not prioritize sewerage. So, and you see, we need to look at water as a complete value chain. First of all, where it's coming from. Are we protecting it? And then when we use it in the households, how are we disposing of the wastewater? And that's where the challenge comes in. So as a county government, I know we've invested a lot in making water available for use, but we need to invest more in creating sewerage. And that's where we're asking for more resources, because as counties, we need to invest in sewerage as well, not just water service provision. And of course, catchment protection, which is a concerted effort, both national, county, and other intergovernmental bodies that are there to support us on the same. Now, when it comes to on-source revenue, many counties are coming up with their own measures. The challenge we have is that the potential is there. For Kakamega, we even have a potential for collecting even 5 billion in a year. But we had a challenge approving our valuation roll, where we are supposed to get revenue from properties within town and within the other towns, Kakamega, Mumias Town, and the other small towns. But it was approved recently. Now we should be able to apply it in this financial year. The other challenge we have is, of course, leakage of this revenue, because we have not fully automated, but now we're in the process of automating revenue collection connection, because when you have a building approval process that is not automated, you'll find leakages along the way.
When you say leakage, is this a fancy way for seeing theft?
Yeah.
Just call it theft.
Yeah, I would say it is theft. I would say it's theft because whoever is collecting, now nobody's watching him and it's not automated. If you go to a public works officer to approve your building plan, nobody is watching him. He might. So I can't say all of them are stealing, but there is a probability that we are losing money along that chain. Public works, fiscal planner, revenue officer, public health.
When I sit and hear you speak, you know your stuff.
Yes.
And that means the appointment within which any governor makes is critical and can be seen in service delivery, right?
Yeah.
And with that, then one asks the question, with appointment that has happened from the governor's role and as well trust that his people can deliver and there is no micromanaging, how does that change the game in terms of service delivery?
Now, for us, the governor does not micromanage, but he has given you a job, so you should be able to do your job very well. And if you are facing challenges, you bring it to his attention, where if it requires the intervention of someone above you, he's able to do it. An example is when we were doing a road through Floka in Kakamega Forest. Now, we needed a way leave from KFS, and it took them more than 5 months. And so we are delaying. We were even putting a water tank on top of Misango Hills, and KFS could not give us a way leave. Yet, when you look at the project, it's going to benefit even them in terms of service delivery, in terms of patrolling in the forest. So we had to involve the cabinet secretary and the PSS. It reached somewhere. Now I told the governor, you will have to talk to the president so that these people can give us a way leave for us to complete our project. So if it requires intervention of someone above you, then you involve him. But what my colleague in finance is doing, he has been able to automate revenue collection, and of course they are also giving them targets. You'll be paid depending on how much you're able to collect. It's some kind of performance contracting. So we are hopeful that with these interventions, then our own source revenue will go up when we implement the valuation role fully, when we automate fully, or even the building approval process, if we automate it fully, and we are able to check on the performance of our staff, then our own source revenue collection should go up, and therefore reliance on the exchequer should be reducing every year. Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's interesting to hear, even as we look into, constitutionalism and look at 16 years of that, and then what can actually happen with devolution. I mean, talked about the bumps here and there. The question is then, what are you going to promise people in the next election if you've done everything?
Remember, for water, there is a 26% we haven't reached.
Okay.
For roads, we still have a long way to go. For now, the governor has only done one bit of a tarmac in every constituency, and we have some constituencies that are still missing the tarmac. He has to give them. The governor has been able to connect communities and schools to markets by doing bridges. Right now, he has done more than 25 bridges. And so that means communities are able, and school children are able to reach their school safely. There is Munyanya Bridge in Sheyu, where we used to have children dying. Now it's working. There is George Abura Bridge in Shirere. There is Mufichina Bridge in Mumias West. And we have many such areas where we have not reached. Remember, Kakamega is a county that has got more than 2 million people. It has got 60 wards, and these 60 wards we've only done, I would say, 50%.
Okay.
Yeah. So we still need. So there's more work to do.
If you want to benchmark or to imbibe some Kool-Aid, Kakamega is where to go. The water is cool.
Yeah.
Peninah Mukabane is the CEC Water and Kakamega County Executive Committee. Thank you for joining us this morning, giving an eye into some of these things as we come up on 16 years of the promulgation of the Constitution tomorrow. Thank you very much for this. Looking forward to more conversations as we have them.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.